I'm about to get y'all up in a tizzy. Now, friends, while I was sitting up here minding my business being nosy, I had came across something and I said I need to call y'all immediately, honey, and let y'all know what was going on because, baby, it's deep and I feel hoodwinked, okay? Do y'all want to hear a story time about how they done lied to us again in the schoolhouse? You do? Okay, because I'm about to tell you. I mean, do y'all ever just feel like they just be making stuff up? Like they just be telling us stuff and we just be believing it because they said it, so it got to be true. Thanksgiving, baby. The Pilgrims and the natives, it ain't what they told us. It ain't what they told us at all. Child, we got to stop doing this. We got to start asking questions about why this happened, okay? But if that happened, then why this? And why this? Because me, I'm going to ask, baby. I'm going to ask. Y'all, the first Thanksgiving was not what we thought it was. Actually, it was a lot more gruesome and horrible than what you could probably even imagine. Now, up until Abraham Lincoln, there really wasn't a real date for what Thanksgiving was. There was a woman who wrote to the president and said that we should celebrate it. And then Abraham Lincoln declared every fourth Thursday of November would be considered Thanksgiving. But it really wasn't about a first dinner that the Pilgrims and the indigenous people had together, because there were other dinners that they had. There were other feasts that were had. But this one in particular in 1621 was not a nice one at all. A few years prior to that, John Smith came over to Powhatan, and y'all know that story with Pocahontas where he took her back somewhere else and did what he had to do with her, and she was a little girl, he was a big guy, and they was doing stuff that they ain't had no business doing. But the age of consent at that time was like 12 years old in Great Britain, so who knows what they had going on. But there was a lot of taking that was happening during that time. Taking of land, taking of people, selling of things. There were a lot of sending people on to glory. There was a lot of unfair things that was happening during that time. So Thanksgiving at the time was not a fun time. It was actually a time where a lot of indigenous people were afraid, didn't know what was going to happen to their land, didn't know what was going to happen to their people. They were very sickly. History ain't going to teach you in the schoolhouse that the warfare that was used during that time was sickness. It was illness. There were certain diseases that the indigenous people's bodies could not fight off because they had not been exposed to it. And then when you think about Christopher Columbus and what happened down in Hispaniola, it's very similar. They used tactics like illness to cripple the land, cripple the people, and then come in and take over and change everything. Kind of makes you think of Tartaria, right? Kind of makes you think like, was this done on purpose? To start a new world, because this really wasn't a new world. It was already here, but it was new to the people who were coming in and taking over and repopulating it, right? Like they purposely spread the disease that they knew they could fight off, but the people here could not. 3 years before the pilgrimage even happened with the Mayflower over to Plymouth, there were other pilgrims coming over and colonizing in the New World. And they were bringing disease with them. And leptospirosis was the main one. That came by way of black rats that they did not have over in the New World. They didn't have that on the East Coast. And those rats came and they urinated in the water, and the Wampanoags took baths in the water. The Patuxet tribe, they took baths in the water. You had yellow fever, syphilis, chickenpox, smallpox, all kinds of disease that was coming from Europe and infecting the people. So you were reducing populations of indigenous people from millions down to the thousands, just from sickness alone. So by the time the pilgrimage happened with the Mayflower in 1621, there was an entire village in Plymouth that had been eradicated by disease. And all that were left was human remains, bones, skeletons, and everything. And those pilgrims felt like God just cleared the way for them. So they came and set up shop. When they got here, they met this man named Squanto. Now, Squanto was a part of the Patuxet tribe, but his tribe had been wiped out by an epidemic. He wasn't here to experience it because he had been kidnapped and sold into slavery by Europeans. So when he came back, he spoke English, and he helped the pilgrims plant and grow corn by using fish bones. Because a lot of the pilgrims were passing away because it was that cold outside. They couldn't handle it. They didn't know the terrain. They couldn't do anything. So Squanto helped them. And he also let them know that this is the Wampanoag tribe. Massasoit, which is the chief, is watching you guys. So after Squanto and the other indigenous people taught the pilgrims how to survive and helped them make it through the harsh winter, the pilgrims then decided to throw them a little party. But the indigenous people were not invited. The Wampanoag tribe was not invited. Matter of fact, the Wampanoag tribe was fighting for their life from all of the disease that they were being riddled with. They just happened to hear guns going off, where they went and visited and saw that the pilgrims were having a feast. And then they were offered, you want a plate? You want a sandwich? You want some corn? You want a turkey sandwich? They were never invited to start with, friends. Over the years, strife began to build between the two of them. And of course, war broke out between the pilgrims and between the indigenous people, the Wampanoag tribe. And eventually, Massasoit's son takes over. Now, when Massasoit's son takes over after Massasoit passes away, the pilgrims pay back the indigenous people that helped them survive by beheading their son. Beheading the son and putting his head on a pike for at least 25 years in the town. And then they made it illegal to teach any Wampanoag to read or write. Took over the land, colonized it, forced everyone into their religion, sold indigenous people into slavery. And that was actually the first Thanksgiving, friends. A lot of people were sick. So Wampanoags don't look at Thanksgiving as a time of have fun, turn up, cranberry, turkey, mashed potatoes, potato salad, chitlins, string beans, green bean casserole. They don't look at it like that. They look at it as a time where they were betrayed by people that they helped. Betrayed and wiped out. Well, friends, I hope I ain't got y'all looking too much of a tizzy, but if you want to hear more about indigenous people, the Trail of Tears, who the cowboys and the Indians really were, watch this video. Okay, friends? And I'm going to call y'all back later on. Bye.